you gonna call?
I'm scared. Don't worry, Gene. Egon and the guys are here. We'll protect you.
Yeah, come on, Gene, this way.
Let's get out of here. I'm glad you guys are here.
Well, I'm sure glad they didn't.
Stop them! No!
The new Ghostbusters range. They're a real scream!
G'day guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. Now I'm doing well as I can be, considering that where I live here in Sydney, we're back in lockdown again. We're 2 months into a lockdown that's been confirmed to go for at least another month. So I'm definitely missing getting out on the hunt. I'm missing toy fairs, I'm missing flea markets and thrift stores. Figure and collectible hunting for me is online only at this point in time, but I'm just using the extra time that I've got to get a few things organized here in the collection room. I've been playing a lot of Super Nintendo and of course sharing with you some recent additions to my collection. And today we're talking about Kenner's Real Ghostbusters vintage toy line and some Real Ghostbusters figures that I picked up recently. Now, as I've mentioned previously, Ghostbusters is a franchise that's very close to my heart. The second Ghostbusters film was the first movie I ever saw at the cinema, and shortly after seeing the second Ghostbusters film, I was introduced to Kenner's Real Ghostbusters toy line. Now, I never actually had any Real Ghostbusters figures of my own as a kid. I would have to say, at least at this point in time, this is my favorite toy line to collect that I didn't actually own as a kid. But that's not to say the figures aren't memorable from my childhood, because shortly after seeing that second Ghostbusters movie, I was on holidays with my nan. I was on holidays with my family, staying at my nan's place, and I had a cousin there who had a few of the Fright Features figures, and he also had the Ghost Zapper toy, and we had an absolute ball playing with those. Based on how fun, how unique those Fright Features figures were compared to anything else I was playing as a kid at that time, and also how fun that Ghost Zapper toy was, it definitely stuck in my memory. And when I first set out as an adult collector, it was a toy line that I knew I wanted to zero in on straight away. So let's get into the pickups. And guys, I'm going to start with a bit of a fail on my part. Vintage action figure collecting is not always scores. It's not always awesome pickups and bargains. There's definitely some bumps in the road, and this is definitely one of those. Now, I'm sure I'm not the first person to get a little bit carried away on an eBay auction without closely looking at each picture and reading the description in detail, but that's exactly what I've done here. I came across an eBay listing, an auction listing for a lot of 16 Real Ghostbusters figures. Now, when I had a quick look at the picture, I saw only one item in the lot that I wanted to add to my collection. But, being the genius that I am, I figured the 16 figures here, if I can pick them up for $4 a piece or less, maybe a touch more, $4.50 a piece, I can clean them up, I can lot them up and resell them. Not only would it give me a fun little project to work on while I'm stuck in lockdown and have some extra time on my hands, but it would also give me an opportunity to maybe make a few dollars. Otherwise, pick up that item within that lot that I wanted to add to my collection without any cost. Well, the time that I spent formulating that plan really should have been spent studying the photos, or at least reading the description, because when I received the lot, it dawned on me pretty quickly that I can't clean that up. Granny Gross is missing an arm, so that's definitely not getting cleaned up. We've got a Fright Features Peter Venkman missing a chunk out of his head. Not much I can do about that. We've got more figures here missing limbs. So a definite fail on my part. A lesson learned and a mistake that I won't be making again. I really don't know what I was thinking there, but I did mention that there was one figure in the lot, one item in the lot that I did want, that I didn't have and that I wanted to add to my collection. And that is a complete Fright Features Winston Zedmore with his accessory and with his companion ghost. So this is the item that I wanted for my collection. This is a welcome addition to the collection. If you've seen previous videos of mine, you'll know that I already have this figure. I picked him up earlier in the year at a toy fair, but I didn't have his companion ghost. So here I am going through all this trouble just for the sake of this single accessory here. But hey, you know, like I said, it's a lesson learned, and maybe it's a lesson that you guys can avoid by watching this video. But so we've got a complete Winston Zedmore Fright Features figure. There's also some other items within the lot that I'm sure I can do something with. Like, we've got a complete wave of the 4 original Wave 1 series Ghostbusters. No accessories, but you know, they can probably be cleaned up. I can probably lot those up and sell those. And there's some other items in the lot here which I'm sure I can sell. So, you know, really my goal now is to just try and sell what I can from here, get as much money as I can get back, and just chalk it up to a lesson learned and move on with my life and pretend this never happened. So let's get into some figures that I'm actually happy to have picked up. And the first one we'll look at is this 1987 Wave 1 Slimer figure. Slimer, or as he was known upon release, the Green Ghost figure. So as you can probably see behind me, I've already got a Slimer figure, but he's not in the best of conditions. This guy's in much better condition, much cleaner and more vibrant in colour. And to top it off, we've got a couple of his accessories here. So we've got his pizza accessory, and we've got his watermelon accessory. And I'm finding that these are harder and harder to come by, at least the vintage versions, because obviously now we've got the re-releases. And with that said, I'm actually not quite sure how the re-released versions of these accessories differ in terms of whether you can spot that they're newer versions or if they're identical in every way. But being that I picked these up with the vintage version of the Slimer figure, I'm assuming they're vintage. So happy to have these. And now, in order for me to complete the first wave of the toy line, I just need his steak accessory, and I also need the vintage Stay Puft figure. Now, the Stay Puft figure is not that difficult to come by. It's not a particularly rare figure, but most of the versions that I see are in pretty ordinary condition, very yellowed and quite grubby as well. So I'm just holding out for a nice clean version of the vintage Stay Puft Marshmallow Man figure, in addition to Slimer's steak accessory, and then I'll have Wave 1 of the Ghostbusters line complete. So I'm happy about that. Alrighty guys, so next up we've got a figure that's probably my pick of the bunch, and I'm talking about this Wave 2 1987 Bug-Eyed Ghost figure. A figure that was released as part of a series of 3 action ghosts, I believe they were called. So we've got Bug-Eye, we've got Bad to the Bone, who you can see behind me there, and also a figure called H2 Ghost, a two-piece figure that I'm still on the hunt for. But guys, I'm really happy to have picked up this Bug-Eyed Ghost figure. He's definitely given me some Boglins vibes. Love the detail in the sculpt. Love all these veins and the detail in the eyeball and his gnarly little face there. This figure feels like it's made of a rubbery plastic that's kind of hardened over time. So no matter how hard I squeeze him, the action feature of the pop-out eyeball is not going to work for me. But that's okay. He makes an excellent display piece, and really looking forward to having Bug-Eyed Ghost on display with the rest of the Real Ghostbusters collection that you see behind me. And next up, I picked up all 5 of the Fright Features figures that were released in 1988. All loose, no accessories, no companion ghosts. I have some of these already, but I'll explain why I picked this lot up. So first up, we've got a Fright Features Egon Spengler figure. Fright Features working, but most importantly, his tie is intact. Now, I've got a few of these Fright Features Egon figures. All of them have broken ties. Most of the Egon figures that I come across, even if they're complete, have that broken tie. So the first reason that I picked up this lot of 5 figures is that intact tie. So we've got Fright Features Egon Spengler. We've got Fright Features Winston Zedmore, as you saw previously. We've got Fright Features Peter Venkman, again working Fright Feature. We've got Ray Stantz with his working Fright Feature. And the last reason that I picked this lot up was for the Fright Features Janine figure, another figure that I didn't have previously. So we've got a lot of all 5 Fright Features Real Ghostbusters figures, with the key reasons for me picking this up being the Janine figure, which is a new addition to my collection, and also importantly this Egon Spengler with his tie intact. So really happy to have picked these guys up. As we saw a moment ago, I've now got the Winston Zedmore Fright Features figure complete. So now I'm on the hunt for the accessories and ghosts to complete the rest of the Fright Features figures. Alrighty, so next up we've got a figure from the Haunted Humans wave, and I'm talking about Hard Hat Horror. Hard Hat Horror is one of two figures that I've been chasing down to complete the wave of Haunted Humans, the other one being Terror Trash. So we're still on the hunt for Terror Trash. For now, I'm happy to have Hard Hat Horror in the collection, but you know, I quite like the wackiness of the Haunted Humans. They're very colourful, they display really nicely, like the other ones that I've got here behind me. But the scale and proportions of these figures are just all over the place. You know, we've got the huge body and the tiny head, and when you compare them to one of the regular Ghostbusters, these guys don't even look like they're part of the same toy line. And then you throw in one of the other Haunted Humans, like our one-armed Granny Gross that we saw before, and these guys definitely don't even look like they belong in the same toy line, let alone the same wave. So I've always found that kind of weird. But with that said, I'm sure these were fun toys to play with as a kid. They display really nicely. Like all of the Haunted Humans, Hard Hat Horror has his play feature where he turns into a kind of a ghoul, a ghostly kind of ghoul creature. Hard Hat Horror being a vampire bat, some kind of bat creature. So that's fun. But unlike all of the other Haunted Humans, for whatever reason, Hard Hat Horror came with an accessory, being a pickaxe. Now, I don't know why all of the other Haunted Humans didn't come with accessories and Hard Hat Horror did, and the accessory has absolutely nothing to do with the play feature. But anyway, that's kind of annoying, just because now it's another component to this figure that I've got to try and keep my eye out for. But in any case, happy to have Hard Hat Horror in the collection. Alrighty, so last up, I picked up a lot of 3 figures that came from the line that was inspired by the Universal monsters. The first one being the Frankenstein monster, a figure that I already had, but he's in nice condition. He might even be in better condition than the previous version of this figure that I picked up. He's got his action feature working nicely. When you squeeze the legs together there, we get his scare feature. The second one in this lot of Universal monsters is a figure that I didn't have. It's the last one that I've needed to complete the wave of Universal monsters or classic monsters, and I'm talking about the Wolfman monster. Once again, we've got the same feature to activate that play feature where you squeeze the legs together and he howls at the moon, so that's pretty cool. This part of the figure is obviously very yellowed, something that's pretty common within the line of Real Ghostbusters. I've got an Ecto one behind me that's got a little bit of yellowing. The Bad to the Bones head is a little bit yellow, so I've been meaning to at some point find a strategy to try and de-yellow these items, and the Wolfman monster figure will definitely get the same treatment. And then the last figure that I picked up in this lot of Universal monsters is the Mummy monster. Now this guy is another figure that I already had, but he's in pretty ordinary condition, and one reason for that is my fault. I picked up this, or a version of this figure, at a toy fair a couple of years ago, and when I picked the figure up, I tried the squeeze the legs together action feature, which works really well in this case. You squeeze his legs together and his decrepit limbs all come apart, and we reveal that beautiful shrunken head there. But when I picked the previous version of this figure up at a toy fair, I was squeezing his legs together and squeezing his legs together, and his helmet, or the bandaging around his head, was not coming off. And being the genius that I am, I just started pulling it off, and it doesn't take a genius to know what's going to happen there. I pulled this off and completely ripped this bandage section apart. I was absolutely spewing. So really happy to now have a version of the figure that desperately needs a bath, but once he cleans up, he'll be a definite upgrade on my previous Mummy monster figure. Now, looking at all of these monster/ghost figures, from the Haunted Human to the Bug-Eye to the Universal monsters, I will say this: I haven't seen a lot of the Real Ghostbusters original animated series. I didn't grow up watching it as a kid. In fact, I didn't even know these figures when I was young. I didn't even know that these figures weren't based on the film. But anyway, I haven't seen a lot of the animated series, didn't grow up on it, and as an adult, I've only seen a couple of episodes when it was streaming on Netflix a little while back. But I will say that not only is the TV show awesome, it features some really awesome ghosts and creatures that would have made unbelievable figures, and it's a definite shame that we didn't see enough ghost or monster figures in this toy line that came directly from that animated series. Now, I totally get that we needed to have the Slimer figure and the Stay Puffed in Wave 1. Obviously, you need to have those. I really like the Bug-Eyed figure and the Bared to the Bone figure, and I can even understand why Kenner released figures based on recognisable classic monsters like Dracula and Wolfman and Frankenstein. But I really do think that we could have skipped some Haunted Humans, and we could have skipped some of the, dozen repaints of the Ghostbusters figures that we got, and instead got some really awesome figures taken from the animated series, like the Boogeyman and the Grundle, that come from existing folklore and mythology that would have made really awesome figures. But anyway, that's it for the rant, and that's it for the pickups today. But I'll be back soon with either an updated collection room tour video or a WWF VHS pickups video. I'm not quite sure which will come first, but whatever it is, I look forward to sharing that with you guys. But until then, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. But most of all, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.